Hey, what it do, what it do? It's your boy Q, and we got ourselves a few months here until ALGS playoffs, which gives teams plenty of time to prep, create new strategies, maybe even create some new metas, as we discussed over here on the channel recently. But also, like we've talked over here on the channel, not only are there some usual faces that are going to be missing come LAN this time around, but that obviously leaves some spaces for some new teams to be competing in London. And that's going to include Blackhand, who qualified out of the APAC South region. And look, I know there's going to be at least one or two of you guys who watched a lot of Apex going to be like, hold up, I thought Blackhand was a challenger circuit team in NA. Well, they had a roster in NA. They actually picked up a new roster heading into Split 2 as an APAC South. And that roster's Bugie, Easy Flash, Strafing Flame. And like we've talked about over here on the channel, they've really been picking up a whole lot of momentum in the region since really the roster was announced. For my sports fans, it's kind of like the equivalence of like the Celtics Big Three back in the day. 3 players from 3 different teams that kind of came together, all really strong in their own right, big expectations, and they've done really good thus far, finishing 3rd in the region behind Moist Esports, who I think a lot of people at this point are starting to consider top 5 in the world, and Onyx, who finished 7th right behind Moist in London during the grand finals at playoffs. So I am super excited to sit down and chat with one of the Blackhand co-founders and chat a little esports, talk a little bit about the community a little bit. Sursu, thank you so much for taking some time chatting some esports, homie. How you doing today, bud?
Man, I'm great. Thank you for that intro. I'm glad to be here. Let's talk Apex.
I am all about it. Let's talk some Apex, my friends. Now, as I had mentioned during the intro, this isn't Blackhand's first dance in competitive Apex, right? Y'all have been around for a little bit. I'm kind of curious, what was it about this squad here that kind of made you want to bring them under the name? Because, I mean, let's be honest, APAC South doesn't exactly get the most promotion, right? So what was it as far, and also not only that, but as someone who stays up quite a bit, or actually on my end usually wakes up early for APAC esports action, not the easiest to kind of get as far as in the sleep schedule, right? So kind of curious as far as what was it about this team that, as far as in the back of your mind, said, hey, this is the team that I want competing under that Blackhand banner.
Yo, the beautiful thing about Blackhand is that everyone has ownership of it. So folks presented those ideas. It wasn't just me. It was a member of ours who has, really good ties with that region, and said, hey, like, let's assess what we've been doing with Apex right now. We did not, every time that we had the opportunity to make Pro League and to get in the mix, when we needed to clutch up, we couldn't. So It was very difficult for us from an NA perspective to feel like, okay, do we invest another year in trying to make this work, or can we switch it up? And one of our members came through and said, hey, what about Apex South? There's a new team that's forming that wants to prove themselves, that have made strides before. And I just said, yo, let's put the proposal together. Let's pitch it to the community. If they voted in, then it's in. And it was voted in with pretty much unanimous success. And now we're here, and I'm excited that we're going to LAN. It's amazing.
So this team that gets hold on. So this team that gets together in the off season, and I think I know you had Brad actually on your channel for an interview yesterday.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
I remember when all the announcement came out, and he and I were talking. Was like, bro, this team's gonna be nasty. Like these 3 individual teams getting together, and you just happen to be like, oh, this team's together. Let's go ahead and draw a proposal. Is that easy?
Yeah. No, I mean. But this is the beautiful thing, though. Like I'm saying, and we'll probably get a chance to talk about like just Blackhand as an org later.
Yeah.
But I mean, the wonderful thing is, like, if it was just left to me and the other core founders, we're pretty all right at finding good teams. Like, we managed to get a world championship win with Pokemon Unite first time out. But I think the other thing is that, like, we can, by enabling everyone else to have opportunities to pitch us ideas, it allows us to see the board completely differently than anybody else. So we're able to make really unique decisions and say, that actually might be a really good idea. Do we have the budget to do it? If so, let's propose it and see how it goes. And so far, I mean, we're like 2 for 2 in like these public proposals to bring on teams. And it's leading to some success. So I believe that, like, there's a future in enabling more of that to happen. And as we grow and have more funds to make really cool, unique things happen, I can't wait to see what kind of proposals we get for other games, whether that's like FGC community, other FPSs. I mean, shit, like even getting things like related to like League of Legends or whatever, like that stuff becomes much more possible because it's not just me looking at the landscape and being
Right.
tunnel vision.
I mean, also too, man, that obviously shows with just how diverse of like sport, or not sport, but esport titles like you guys have already gone, right? Like you've gone, obviously you mentioned the Pokemon Unite team, which by the way, huge congrats on, the success
Thank
there
you.
for the first big one. But also, you had the Halo squad that's been able to work their way out of those open brackets multiple times as well, right? So,
Yes.
I'm kind of curious. We've seen a lot of orgs actually slowly stepping away from ALGS, right? While Blackhand stepping into ALGS, right? And again, in an underrated and undervalued region nonetheless. So what is it about Apex that I guess you see in Blackhand in order for y'all to like stick around after not qualifying with the old roster? And like you said, like almost doubling down, like, yo, how can we really like stick our foot in this thing?
Yo, I mean, our community loves Apex. I love Apex. Voltic, who's still on with us, kind of is like the coach for the new team, and just a general good advisor around the Apex community, like a really good Sherpa. We just had these continual conversations about where we see ALGS moving in the future, and I think the future is definitely in the recognition of regions that haven't had sort of like I won't necessarily say not a fair shake, but just folks that have just like lowly rated them and just like they put the underdog status on these groups. And I think like being able to shake things up and to bring that kind of like international stamping into ALGS to me is something that was very appealing. But then also the opportunity where it's like ALGS is new, right? It's only in its third year officially.
Right.
So we can build it into like how the LCS is or how CSGO is and things of that nature, right? If we think about like the history of the LCS, it had gone through multiple big iterations and changes.
It hasn't been all sunshines and rainbows. People forget
Exactly.
like the changes it's gone through 100%.
Right. So, the thing is that like there has to be a presence that still wants and demands competition at a high level from the games that we care about, right? And if all orgs leave, then the scene dies.
Right.
I mean, not necessarily completely dies, but like it turns into just more of a grassroots underfunded effort that we've seen historically with FGS scene and a few other scenes, and that shouldn't happen, right? Like we've got to be able to, and I know this obviously like some of it comes to the money, a lot of it boils down to the potential barriers that EA or that Respawn may have, and to tournament organizers, event organizers, the possibility of creating more third-party events is difficult for sure. So it doesn't come without like its legitimacy in the challenges and the reasons why people would leave. Anybody who does leave the scene is probably leaving with merit. There are other folks that have to bow out because of their own shady practices, but that's something completely different.
Right.
So but I think we have the wherewithal and the opportunity to compete and stay in this competitive mode. So we're gonna do what we can till the wheels fall off. And I'm just very excited that like we have the opportunity to really get in there at moving into that next level. I think we had done so much in NA, and I appreciate all of our old players. Like Diff, Kodagami, Shubi, Yaz, Rain, Goat, even Karma, all those guys, right? Like they were integral in building up the language of Blackhand. They're the reason why I can go into a lobby and play at like 4 a.m. or play at like 12 or whatever, and a random kid looks at my handle and it's like, yo, Blackhand, I know that.
Right. They know who it is,
like,
at least, right? They've heard of it. Right.
That's amazing, right? Like I can't say that for other orgs in the play space that we're in, because we're crypto native, so we're a whole other thing too. So we have this thing where like we're crypto, which folks are like, I don't know, but because of what we do and how we've done it, our reputation has superseded the fact that we do that, or that we're into a space that is that's a little shaky for people. And so I'm grateful that we have players like the ones that I mentioned that helped us get there, right? Like we wouldn't be here without that. So it goes without saying that like, I felt like I owe it to them, but I owe it to our community to do something amazing in Apex, and I think we're on track with this new team.
So I know that the roster pickup was like technically, I think it was technically after the start of the season, right? But it happened before the squad's first session, right? It was basically how it happened. And while y'all might not have necessarily ever sat like at the top of Apex South standings, y'all have been right on the top of the heels of the two teams I think get the most love when we talk about globally, especially when we talk about Moist. I think a lot of people are starting to give Onyx a little bit more praise. I know I've been very long saying that Onyx essentially Moist 2.0 in my opinion. I hope Moist doesn't take that the wrong way, or the Onyx guys don't take that the wrong way. But I really do think if you're gonna place Moist up in your top 5, top 10, Onyx should probably be relatively close. You know what I mean? They basically bring that same firepower, you know?
Right.
But I'm kind of curious, you know, since you've been sitting in that position, now even towards the end of the season, we've seen on the Comp Apex Reddit top 25, Blackhand snuck in there here as well. I gotta imagine, one, as a CEO, that's gonna be, or as a co-founder, it's gotta be like amazing, right? Just to see that. But I'm kind of curious, does that put a little bit of extra pressure on like you and the squad going into London? And the fact that like a couple of weeks ago, it wasn't that people didn't know who Blackhand were, but there wasn't that expectation, right? Whereas over the course of these last couple of weeks, now people are like, all right, maybe we should be, you know, looking out for Blackhand coming into London. Do you feel like that kind of helps, or I shouldn't say kind of helps, but kind of puts a little bit of additional pressure on y'all heading in, or what's the deal?
Absolutely. But you know what? It's funny, when I talked to the team, when the proposal was finally being voted in, they put that on themselves, right? They said, no, we're coming to win. Like we want it all, right? And so I think that we've shared that alignment since day one, that we're here to make some crazy stuff happen. You know, we're here to turn heads. We're here to get people to say, you know, like, put some respect on the name, right? And like when I talked to the Apex team last week on stream 2, when I interviewed them as well, you know, especially like Strafing, when he talked about like leaving IBG and coming over, he's like, bro, like I'm here to prove a point. Like I would imagine,
right? There is such a chip on that kid's shoulder right now. I can't wait to see what he does in London. I can't lie.
Yeah, I mean, so it's him, and then, you know, obviously Easy Flash, part of Dewa, also was there at LAN Split 1.
Well, right? No, because Dewa didn't get to go.
Oh no, you're right. He didn't. But
and that probably also puts a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, though. So I would imagine you got some hungry cats in the team right now.
Exactly. And then Bugie, this is his first time leaving Australia. This is his first ever travel, like on a plane going somewhere, and it's to play here.
Oof.
You know what I mean? So like the sense of wonder, opportunity, and like, oh my God, like this is a moment, we've arrived.
Right.
I think it's so prescient. And also like it's like it's this thing that like I think us as an org and as a community, we knew was going to happen for us by sticking with Apex.
Okay.
And I wanted it with all the teams, with all the players that we worked with. But it's like, again, right? Like this was, for me, this was the expectation for us to get here, right? This was we needed to get, when we talked about Pro League back in NA, our goal was to do Pro League and playoffs, right? And now that we're here, it's playoffs, and now it's global champs, right? Like the goal was always to try to win a title in Apex. I think anytime that I've always thought about a game that we wanted to compete in, the ultimate goal is to get the chip. Right. It's not just to be like, we're here and it's all fun, and it is, but we are here to get the top marks.
We want to be known for more than just being around.
100%. You know, I can't say our phrase "heavy is the hand" and it's not that heavy. You know what I mean? Like that comes with holding trophies. You know, like that's part of the thing. So, you know, I think it does give us pressure, but it's pressure that we've already sort of attributed to ourselves anyway, knowing that we want to perform well. And so, you know, I think it's good that like we're getting T25 community ranking is huge. That's a massive endorsement. I mean, that's the fact that like
the fact that APAC South has 3 of them there, I feel is like the first time that the region has gotten that much attention, honestly, which is really cool to see.
That part, and the fact that like, you know, they got Moist in T5, Onyx T10, and then we're 3rd, right? Like in the region with those two teams. We play against those 2 teams. We've definitely won fights with those teams. Like, you know, the fact that like we can hang with them,
right,
is really, really good. And even though we're like 20, 21, we hover around there, I don't really worry too much about that.
Because you know that any fight can go.
Exactly. And I know that like because we've competed with 2 T10 teams like all season.
Right.
Like that does something to us, right? Like that we have like, you know, that ability to really be like, okay, we know how we could turn up because we've seen how they turn up. So
Right.
like we can bring that energy in. So yeah, we're hungry. We want it. We have something that we want to say to all the teams that are out there. So you know, our goal is to get after it.
I love it. So I guess then what's the game plan to make sure that y'all leave London with the best results possible? Like I'm not looking for like much of the juice, right? And I'd imagine obviously there's going to be some boot camping involved, right? That's going to be happening. Avoiding McDonald's apparently from hearing from the squad, right? But as far as what are some of the other things, I know since you've obviously been a part of the esports industry over at Black Cane and know kind of what some of that preparation takes, I guess what are some of the things that y'all are looking for? And I was kind of curious as far as kind of digging in with you. Are you kind of more hands-on with the squad as far as with the prep, or is it just more of letting the coach do his thing and kind of letting the players do their thing? Because I've kind of seen a little bit of both. I know I've talked with Exodus from formerly ExoClan and, you know, John from Leave No Witness. They're a little bit more hands-on. I've talked with some other CEOs who are a little bit more obviously, or, you know, I know you say you prefer.
You can use it. It's fine.
But yeah, but you know, some like to be more hands off. I mean, what's kind of your tactic as far as being in that more co-founder role? Do you kind of just more give them advice and let them grow, or what's that look like?
Yeah, I'm definitely more of the advice type of leader. I do get hands-on certain things. It really just depends on the context. But when it comes to the gameplay, I trust them. You know, I trust the coach. I know how serious they take scrims. I know how serious they take looking at VODs, doing your research. So I don't worry too much about their game prep. I know I do make commentary. There are certain things that I do talk to the team about a little bit. But for the most part, my goal is to, from the resources aspect, facilitate and make sure that they have exactly what they need so that they can feel comfortable as they prepare for LAN, as they prepare for the boot camp. We just approved a boot camp budget and just kind of put it, you know, making payments to all the things. So the team will definitely be out there, you know, boot camping. You know, my advice to them has been to also enjoy the fact that they're out there.
Yeah, 100%. Got to make sure you're living in the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't just if you focus too much only on the game, and you know something happens where you know, God forbid, like we get knocked out early, like they'll just be pissed off the rest of the time, and like, and that's not the kind of mindset that I want any of my players to have. It's you know, we're there to work, but we're also there to enjoy the fact that you've earned this spot. You know, there are other people who like wanted this spot too, and they didn't get a chance to earn it, but you did, right? So like, we've got to, in a way, like make sure we live it up for those folks that are rooting for us that we've beat out, right?
In a region that only gets 5 spots.
Exactly. So I imagine, you know, we want to put on a great show for the region, for APAC South. And the best way to honor that is to play hard, but also have fun just as much. So that's like the kind of like, for me, I liken myself to like more of the sage that will drop you know, the kind of like worldly advice, but not necessarily too much where, you know, I'm kind of like over them insofar as talking about kind of like, oh well, like let's talk about prep, let's talk about strats, stuff like that. I think leaving that to them and the team that we've started to institute to handle that kind of stuff, I trust those folks to make those decisions. If they need anything though, they'll talk to me. But for the most part, I kind of let the squad do the squad.
You try not to Jerry Jones it, right? You just basically
exactly.
You put people in place. I love it. So, you know, I know y'all do do things a little bit different over there at Black Hand here, Sursu, and we'll definitely get to that here in a minute. But I'm kind of curious. I would imagine with the work that like you do, right? You catch yourself working in front of screens often, including staying up late, like we talked about, to watch a squad, right? So you ever catch yourself like after long like nights at the grind, having some like issues with headaches or anything like that?
Massively.
What about you, YouTube? How's your sleep, fam? Do you struggle with headaches after long nights at the grind? Gamer Advantage is a leader in impactful eyewear technology that's been proven to help you sleep better, focus more, all without distorting color or comfort, relieving headaches and eye strain, all while fitting comfortably under a headset. Stay in the game longer with Gamer Advantage. Y'all see me in my Gamer Advantage frames all the time, and that's because they truly do make a difference. And when you catch me with my red frames on, though, those are the ones that have my prescription lenses, because Gamer Advantage does that too. Link is always going to be down in that description below, and when you check out, don't forget that code YoBoyQ hooks you up with that 10% discount. All right, Sirsu, now we've gotten to talk about the squad a little bit over here on the channel, but I want to talk a little bit about you, homie. Has gaming, I know you said earlier it's like always been a part of your life, but kind of how big of it, like part of your life has it been, and have you always seen yourself eventually being in the role that you're in, kind of in that co-founder of an esports organization?
Man, it's funny. So when I was growing up, and I'm not like that old, but I know the Apex community is young. So
That they are.
You know, when I say that I'm 30, that's old for them.
Yeah, once you have a 3 in front of your age, yes, I'm with you there. I'm with you.
Yeah, facts. So, me and the homies, we grew up on MLG and game battles.
Yes,
so
okay.
We were playing for $20 4v4 2v2s. And bragging rights online that, oh yeah, like we beat out this other team from Florida or whatever the case is. And I had gotten to eat. So I would say this: I've been a competitor my entire life, right? Like when I was a kid, like from 3 to like 7, I was massively into chess, and I won a fair amount of events and competitions here in Philadelphia, where I'm from.
Okay.
I did Taekwondo from about 9 to maybe 16.
Oh shit.
We had opportunities to fly to Vegas and compete nationally.
I qualified for that twice. I got injured both years, bro.
No,
I'm
dude,
so mad.
same. I tore ligaments in both my knees. Couldn't compete. I was crushed.
Bro,
I was crushed.
So 1 year, so I lived down in El Paso when I was doing Taekwondo, right? And so I kind of got lucky. I could kind of hit a couple different states to do the state competition in order to qualify.
Nice.
And I was at the Arizona one, and I finally decided I want to try and qualify for board breaking.
Right.
And I went up, my ender was I had a jumping axe kick through 3, and instead of snapping my heel down, I slipped on my way up on the ground, and I came straight down on my heel and shattered my heel, and that was like, I want to say like 2 months before nationals, and that was a no-go. Then the next year I broke my arm, but that's so cool. We're gonna have to chat about that a little bit more later, for sure.
100%. So yeah, like my brother, my little brother, my dad, and my cousins, we were all part of the same dojo, and we were destroying kids in PA, in Jersey, New York. We were going off. Like we had like this thing where basically at the end of like every, like in the finals run, it would just be us against each other. Like that's how crazy like our especially our belt class at the time, like we were dirty. So I have always had that competitive drive to be like, nah, I wanna go in and like be the best. I wanna prove myself. And so when I moved to Florida in high school and met up with 2 of my other homies who are also co-founders of Black Hand, when we talked Halo 2, Halo 3, we got into LAN. It was just one of those things where I was just like, this is amazing. Like I've never been in a place where, and I'm also like, the type of injury is different, and the risk of getting injured is different. I was like, I want to get into this more. And at the time it was my parents were very much open and allowing me to kind of experiment with things. But with games, it was kind of like, I don't necessarily know if that's really going to be a thing. It was already hard enough that I was an artist. And they were like, okay, art, I could see how you might make money that, but like art and games, okay, now you're doing too much. You gotta
right.
But to come full circle, for my homie's 27th birthday, we went to go see the Avengers. And 26 birthdays, 26 on April 26th. We went to go see the Avengers and in London, and we went to a gaming bar, and we told ourselves, we said, we got to get into gaming, whether it's a bar or something else, we got to do it. And then 2.5 years later, we start Black Hand, and like now we're here. So like it's That's so really funny that like we always knew that we wanted to get into it, but we had the right mix of opportunity, I think, now to where it just completely made sense. So shout out to the homie Chris.
I love it.
Shout out to Alex. Shout out to Dylan, or ATM, and then shout out to Telon, our brother from Australia who's now in London. So yeah, that's the squad.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So look, I know when Black Can was getting ready to pick up this current roster, their manager was in my DMs telling me, you and I had a chat, talk about this dope new org coming into APAC South with this innovative concept, looking to kind of change the structure of esports a little bit. And while admittedly, it's an industry that I have no freaking clue about. Like you said, when it comes to crypto and things like that, one, especially with wifey working in the financial industry, like we kind of have to be hands off of that because she's, so I mean, we kind of have to. So I don't know much about it, but I was also kind of hoping that maybe you could tell us a little bit about like what you've got going over at Black Hand, how it kind of separates itself from what other orgs are doing right now.
100%. Yeah. So I mean, so what I say about the crypto aspect of it is, when we first started over 2 years ago, that was our initial funding source, right? So right now in this time period, especially as we got into the pandemic, the viewership for esports skyrocketed. It tripled. However, it was getting to a point in which incumbent folks that could raise did raise, and newer folks didn't necessarily have the same type of opportunity to raise traditional funding to then start an esports organization. Because even though we were in the midst of a pandemic, the opportunities to describe or to list out how you would make revenue was very difficult to do, right? Like most traditional cases, you'll say, our goal is to get into esports. It's a massive marketing tool to drive attention to the culture we're trying to set. We'll build content. We'll get really good teams. So hopefully the money that we get to recruit a really good team enables us to try to make some of the money back in competition, but that's obviously a risk. And then depending on the type of split that you have with a particular player or team, then like you're only maybe nominally making roughly 20% maybe off of tournament earnings. So it takes a while. So let's say if you invested $1 million and you only competed in like, events that maybe had $2 or $3 million at most, and let's just say you won everything, you're probably getting only 20% of that entire purse. So that's like $200,000 to $400,000, depending on like the amount of earnings. Right. Then you've got to factor in
your percentage of that.
Your player, your percentage of that, the players. So it's a diminishing return, but it could stack over time just depending on what type of savvy deals you have with players. But then the other thing is like you're probably saying, oh well, sponsorships are going to float us so that we can hopefully catch up in merch. But merchandise sales historically have been and they've been a nominal percentage in the revenue that esports makes entirely. Here's a really interesting stat. Gaming is over $200 to $300 billion annually, right? Like across the board.
Of like income?
Of revenue generated.
Okay.
Esports is roughly 1% of that.
Really?
Yes, esports is very, very small within the schema. And it makes sense, right?
I would have figured it was small, but I wouldn't have guessed one. I mean, I would have figured single digits probably, but I don't know if I would have guessed one.
Esports esports in and of itself is not particularly, it has not really eclipsed the $1 billion wave yet.
That's so strange though, because it seems like games that have the stronger esports system have longer and higher peaks, right?
Yeah. So okay. So like think about it this way, right? So esports was projected to cross about $1.2 billion annually over like between now and like 2025.
Okay.
And like that'll happen, but that's still in a sense like very, very small considered to the 300 billion or whatever, 200 billion that gaming produces overall, right? It's still a very, very small sample subset. And when you think about it in that context, it's normally due to the lack of opportunity and profit sharing from a tournament and event setting perspective, from prize pool amounts, and even obviously from a revenue share that may come from particular publishers as it relates to team skins or other types of opportunities in which players and organizations can take money from battle passes, cosmetics, and a bunch of other type of content that they normally market and produce for the proliferation of a particular game.
Right.
So long story short, esports is an incredibly tough industry to make meaningful revenue out of, even when you are trying to like do things slightly differently. But I think the goal and the opportunity that is afforded to us from a crypto perspective is that we can leverage the opportunities afforded to us from ownership, and the fact that like if anyone who owns Blackhand is an active participant in Blackhand, we can connect the dots to all other types of funding sources and opportunity sources that we can proliferate culture in a unique way. So for instance, right now, we're in the process of pushing out a proposal with another community to build a communication app, so that folks can tap into everything that we're doing at Blackhand. One of the things that we've noticed with a lot of the crypto related community is that most of them kind of have an idea of esports, but they don't necessarily know how to tap in to what we're doing and to like help us and to discover us. So for example,
Okay.
what I mentioned earlier about like me logging into an Apex lobby and people knowing who we are, the gaming community knows us, but the people that we've built some of our tooling from do not, which I find very interesting. I didn't necessarily think it was going to go like that. I thought it was going to be more of a resistance on the gaming side and a lot more easier on the crypto side, but those people don't know us. So it's like I shout in the ether and I talk about, oh, like we won a world tournament. They're like, oh my god, we didn't know that. And I'm like, how did you not? So you know, there are things there where it's like, okay, this is a massive community or global community that has funding opportunities, that have communities that are interested and hungry for gaming, that are interested and hungry for esports, that want to support really amazing initiatives. And so this gives us an opportunity to create funding and revenue sources in a space that is largely open, i.e. crypto, than a place that's closed, which is sort of like esports as a whole. And the goal is kind of through this leveraging of this rocket fuel on the crypto end, it enables us to create more opportunities for Blackhand to support really unique teams, unique events, unique players, content creators, streamers, so that we can boost the overall funding and the fidelity of the space as a whole, right? So like my ambitious goal is, you know, I talk about, you know, heavy is the hand, but Blackhand the world over. It's like I literally want us to be ubiquitous, right? Like the goal for Blackhand is to be within the same echelon of names, like your Liquid, your TSM, your 100 Thieves, your Fanatics.
That you think about all stores of different esports. It doesn't matter. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter. But like when people think about esports, Blackhand's name, I want Blackhand to be a part of that, and to be like when they think about it, they're like, oh, not only did they have championship winning teams, but they have the most fire events. They've, you know, put up initiatives to help players receive more transparency behind salary. They've worked with organizations to help, you know, produce and curate and find really good talent, and to help that talent grow within an industry.
I mean, it's essentially just a different source of investment at the end of the day, right?
Exactly. That's really kind of the way that I think about it is, it's a different type of investment, but thankfully with it, the culture, the good culture around cryptography, and around like sort of crypto related systems, is that everyone can be a participant and the upside and the ownership of how Blackhand works. So for example, anyone can go to our website and participate in an auction to purchase one of our ownership tokens. By doing so, this enables you to propose something. So for example, like I said, the reason why the Apex team exists is because a community owner put up the idea for us to go support this team, right? So that's literally how this sort of thing works, right? The more owners we have, the more unique ideas the more cool things Blackhand does. And it's not just about me or my core team members coming up with all the ideas. This is all of our playground. You know, if you want to participate in esports, you can do it through us. And if you have a really cool ass idea, you want to support a team, well, put the proposal up, and if it gets produced, then you can say that you made that happen. You have ownership in Blackhand to say that, yo, I built this team, and this team now got a championship because I did that, and I pitched it to this community, and we all came together to make it happen. So you can put your stamp on things in a way where like it's public, it's transparent, it's ownable, you get paid for it. And that's the kind of like culture I want to build around esports.
All right, that's interesting. The more you talked about, the more it starts to make sense again. Even though I don't know that much around as far as the crypto side, but I know enough to know to know something. You know what I mean? Like I'm not big in that space,
exactly.
but that's interesting. So I'm kind of curious though. Now that they actually released the dates today, so we have 2 months here now, heading into London, right? So for the squad, is it all gas, no brakes? Are they getting revved up for LAN, or is it kind of like, let's take a little bit of time, make sure we're reset, that way when we do get ready to boot camp, we're all in? Because I mean, 2 months is a long time when it comes to esports, right? When we talk about scrimming and VOD reviewing and stuff like that, and especially for a squad that doesn't necessarily get the chance for the extra, what's the best way of putting it, quality reps, right? Like obviously there's going to be international scrims, but we see that in NA, like the Realm team queues are coming next week, right? There are other third-party tournaments that we see often in NA and EMEA aren't necessarily really allotted in the other 3 regions quite nearly as often. Sometimes you still have them, but not nearly as often, right? So do you feel like, is it like where the squads feel like they're taking a break before getting into revving and rolling, or is it like lock in right now, we got 2 months to make sure we're ready to go?
So I think it's probably a mixture of both. I know, we've got, for example, Easy Flash. Easy Flash recently lost his brother, so and that was, and that contributed to, there were some moments where it was like we weren't sure if he was even going to be able to play for the last stretch of or the final week before we figured out we secured LAN, for instance, right? And then even when we did play and when we were playing in the finals, he's been having issues with his own rig. He had issues with his rig before the season started, and so he's been playing out of the internet cafe.
At the register, like the register, right?
Yeah. So so dig this, right? Like, dude basically was regular season kill leader from an internet cafe.
That's crazy.
Like he's cracked. So, for the most part, I think with the 3 of them, they are incredibly talented. Their frag skill is unbelievable. Strafing is one of the best IGLs.
Facts, man. I've been don't even just say region, man. He's
up there for me. He's like, for sure.
You can't. I actually did I remember video about him recently. I mean, when you look at how he makes his teammates better, and granted, I'm not in the ears when they're in games, but you can just tell when you look look, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. You know what I mean? Like 100%. He makes his teammates better, and I don't know what it was that caused him to leave. I love the guys over at IBG, so I'm not trying to dig into it. Obviously that it's esports, things happen. You know what I mean? Which kind of goes back to the whole talking about the blessing that you got with the three of you players that you got kind of coming together here, man. And it's going to be exciting. And I gotta say, I really like your group draw heading into London.
I do too. I mean,
you got XSET, which is tough, right? But when you're getting the 40 best teams in the world on LAN, like there's going to be tough people in your lobby. But when I look at say like Group D, which I don't know what it is, Group D is always the group of death when it comes to Apex LAN. But again, the Apex LAN over there looks pretty tough. I do gotta ask a question though. Do you think that there are going to be kills left available when you've got teams like Fire Beavers, Crazy Raccoon, and XSET all running wild in your lobby, or what's the game plan?
I mean, personally,
again, you don't have to give out the juice, right? I'm not
trying. No, you're good, because I haven't even actually talked with the team about the group stage yet. I think we're gonna do that sometime tomorrow. But for me personally, I mean, I try to watch as much as I can. So, I try not to be misinformed, but I think for us, it's like, I think the way the Apex South plays is very, very unique than sort of like how some of the other regions play.
I would say other than South America, 100%.
Yeah. And so I think that we have some unique strats that we'll be able to sort of deploy that will shake that lobby up in a good way. I definitely don't think XSET is just gonna have it to them. They might think it's free, but it's not. And I think there's gonna be room for us to start going crazy 100%. I'm definitely completely confident that I don't think there's gonna be kills left on the table. I think we're gonna eat just as much as they are. I think we're ravenous wolves right now, and we're looking at everyone as bait. So we're coming in with that kind of energy for sure.
Well, when you look at the groups and knowing that there's Group D, just the group of death, and the fact that there's Group C that has TSM, and the fact that Group A has NRG, I do gotta say for you and the squad, I'm very happy that all the games are gonna be happening on the main stage, because more than likely, it would have been kind of tough getting in some time there, as far as at least during the group stages. I gotta say though, that's gonna be making those first couple days some long days. 'Cause you gotta remember in the past they've run those 2 lobbies like, you know, simultaneously. So I mean, to be fair, I guess when you're starting in London, you can kind of start earlier, and then you're kind of tickling the fancy of all regions, right? If you start early in London, you're still hitting APAC, and then you're going late, so you're still hitting NA. So maybe that's something that they're thinking of. Hopefully, I know as far as your boys hoping, they're going to be running some long days. That means they're going to bring some more talent in for the desk, but we're going to have to wait and see how that happens. But before we get you out of here, homie, I kind of want to know, as far as for people keeping up, wanting to know where to tap in with you, where to tap in with the squad, you know, plug the socials, website, go crazy, let the people know.
Oh yeah, I mean, everything Blackhand related is at Blackhand. That's on our Twitter. We're working on getting like our YouTube domain. I know we gotta like do content and stuff for all that, which is coming soon. Which you can find us on YouTube. I mean, you type in Blackhand, we'll have a bunch of videos. Also, you can find us on Discord. Best way to do that is to go to blackhand.com and then go to our Discord link. I'm in the process of redoing our site, so we're going to have all new updated merch and a bunch of other really cool related things. So if you really want to rep the hand, you're going to have a lot of opportunities to do so. And then
even the merch y'all got now is pretty fire, I can't lie. So
thank you. Me and my girlfriend, shout out to Bria, we work on that constantly. She works at Lululemon right now, and she's a materials and colors designer, so she knows her stuff. So we were like, yo, we got to approach this like how 100 Thieves did it, but like even more like superior fabric, you know,
make it worth color. It. That way, people talk about it, right? Like
exactly. And we got these really unique like jerseys that we're gonna push out for LAN 2. So you're gonna see us looking real mean in the ground. I'm actually super excited for that. But you can also find me at Sirsuhayb, SIRSUHAYB on Twitter or any other social. Find me at Sirsu. If you got really unique ideas, you want to find a way to pitch an idea to Blackhand, definitely do so. I got other buddies in the space too that are looking to finance and support unique teams, unique thoughts. So if you're in Apex and you want representation, definitely hit us up. We'll get you plugged in with some other folks that definitely want to do something. But yeah, I mean, everything Blackhand, just go to Blackhand on Twitter. That's mainly where we push all of our information, all of our sources. We'll be pushing out our own kind of like social media hub soon. Very excited to announce that later, but you'll find all that information on Twitter.
I love it. Well, you know what, Sirsu, I really appreciate you taking some time getting to hang out with your boy today. I'm hoping to find a way over to London, whether it be playoffs or championship. Like I said, who knows? Maybe they'll be paying for it. Probably
Same
not.
Here.
Probably not. But I'm going to be trying to find a way to get over there. If we're both over there, we'll definitely have to make sure we link up, say what's up in person. But thanks for swinging through, chatting with your boy today, and good luck with the squad this summer, man.
Man, thank you so much. Super excited to make some waves in London, and I can go too if budget allows, and I'll see you there, brother.
I love it. All right. Well, YouTube, guess what, man? We got 2 months left here now until LAN. So that means we got plenty of time to dig in with other interviews, predictions, power rankings, you name it. So let me know as far as who y'all would want me to try and sit down with down those comments below, man. I don't mind shooting my shot. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, you know what I mean? But if you enjoyed the vibes, you want to make sure you keep up with almost daily esports news, updates, more. Make sure you smack that subscribe button and turn those notifications on. But until we catch y'all back over here on the channel, man, don't forget, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere, game hard and love hard. All right, y'all, it's your boy Q signing out.